What's going on, guys? It's Greg here, aka NYPrepper. It is Thursday, August 31st, 2023, and I have some breaking news to share with you guys. Right now, it is 3:45 p.m. Eastern Time here in the United States, and we currently have another presidential Doomsday plane in the air over Indiana, and we also have a Constant Phoenix, which is a nuclear detection plane. And we also have a B 52 nuclear bomber in the air. And we also have an E 6 Mercury nuclear war communications relay plane all in the air at the same time. We also have some breaking news that the U.S. plans to deploy 2 squadrons of F-35s to the UK this winter. Okay, 2 squadrons of F-35s. They're saying up to 50 F-35s going to the UK from here in the U.S. this winter. Okay, and this is literally a day after the U.S. announced that they did a ground refuel exercise with a stealth bomber in Norway. And supposedly it was just an exercise, but we don't know if that B 2 actually went back to Iceland, because there's 3 B 2 stealth bombers in Iceland now. And yesterday, the Air Force came out and said that they did a hot pit refueling exercise in Norway, which is when a stealth bomber will land, keep its engine on, and it'll get refueled while the engine is still running, and then it'll just take off as soon as it's refueled. And so they did that yesterday. Now they're announcing that they're going to be moving 2 squadrons of F-35s to the UK in the winter. That's over 50 F-35s, guys. That is a huge amount. And what's significant about this is that the F-35s are nuclear capable. Okay, they can deliver the B-61 nuclear bomb, which is a gravity bomb. It can be guided, so it's kind of like a guided gravity bomb. It has like fins that are deployed when it's dropped from the fighter jet, and the fins can steer the bomb to the target. So it's not just like a complete dummy bomb. It can be guided, but it is a gravity bomb. It uses gravity to fall down from the F-35, and an F-35 can carry one B-61 thermonuclear bomb or warhead, and the B-61 can have a blast yield of up to half a megaton, 475 kilotons. So that's a significant uh, blast yield, okay? And so they're going to transfer these F-35s, and those F-35s are basically like miniature stealth bombers, because each one can carry a half megaton gravity bomb. And since F-35s are stealthy, you have 50 of those, and each one carries a half megaton bomb. Plus, you got 3 B 2s in Iceland. Plus, you have F-16s that are nuclear capable as well. But the F-35s in particular are stealthy, so they can deliver these nuclear warheads, these nuclear gravity bombs, the B-61s, without being detected, okay, by radar. So that's pretty significant, guys. And we have that EAS test coming up on October the 4th. If you guys are not aware, there's going to be a nationwide emergency alert system test. And I think they're doing that because they're preparing for nuclear war. That's what I think is going on here. All these doomsday planes in the air the past month. And today, again, another doomsday plane, a nuke sniffer plane. Yesterday, they moved a B 2 to Norway. They also moved a combat scent plane to the UK. Okay, a combat scent plane. There's only 2 of them in the Air Force, and they're used for gathering electronic signals. Okay, so they detect radar emissions, and they collect that information and they give it to the president and our top generals. Okay, so you don't move a combat scent to an area unless something is going on, unless there's some kind of a contingency, because we only have 2 of them. Okay, so if they're moving one to the UK and they're moving up to 50 F-35s, and they moved a B-2 to Norway, and they moved 3 B-2s to Iceland, and there's going to be an emergency alert system test on October the 4th. Something is going on here. I don't know what it is, but it's clear to me that something is brewing here, okay? And in my opinion, I think that they're preparing for nuclear war, either a full-scale nuclear war or potentially some kind of a theater level conflict, okay, in Europe, all right, between Europe and Russia, okay? So either one of those, but a nationwide emergency alert system test is huge. We haven't had one of those in I don't know how long. And guys, the emergency alert system is primarily, especially if it's a nationwide test, that's for nuclear war, okay? That is how we would be notified if there's a nuclear war. That's the primary way that our government here in the US would tell people that there's missiles coming, okay? Now, you're going to have 15 to 30 minutes max to get away from the blast radius. Otherwise, you're going to get destroyed, incinerated, and the blast pressure is just going to be so strong. But you're going to have 15 to 30 minutes to get away from the blast radius. And for the people that are outside the blast radius, you're going to have up to a few hours, maybe half a day to a day to prepare for the nuclear fallout that's going to happen, especially when surface burst warheads are used, which primarily the surface burst warheads would be used on ground targets that need to be destroyed, fortified targets like missile silos, bunkers, bases, things like that. And cities, if they are targeted, are most likely going to be targeted with air bursts. So the air burst doesn't generate any fallout because it's detonated in the air. So there's no material that contacts the fireball and gets sucked into the mushroom cloud and then falls out of the sky downwind. Okay, but this is clearly preparations for nuclear war, a nationwide emergency alert system test. Okay, so very concerning information here. And here's the B-52. And it was in the air at the same time as the Doomsday plane, the nuke sniffer plane, and the nuclear war command and control plane. Okay, and so let me just continue. So continuing on with the news, we have some breaking news coming out of Ukraine. Apparently the Ukrainians are expanding that pocket that they made in Robotine, which is that critical portion of the occupied territory, because that's how Ukraine can split the land bridge that Russia made, is by going south from Robotine and going all the way to the Sea of Azov. And so we have some information coming from the Deputy Minister of Defense of Ukraine, Hanna Malyar, and she was saying that apparently Ukraine is now advancing on Novo-Prokopivka and Novodanilivka. Okay, and I'll show you on the map where that is, but they're basically expanding that pocket that they made, and they've already reached the second line of defense, okay? There's like 4 or 5 lines of defense that Russia made in that area to try to stop Ukraine from splitting the land bridge, and Ukraine has already reached the second line of defense. Okay, so they're pushing through, guys. It looks like the long-awaited counterattack is finally starting. Also, Crimea was hit with more drones the other night, and some of the drone explosions were pretty serious. I can't show you guys any footage on this platform, but there were some very, very serious kabooms in Crimea the other night. Ben Wallace, the Minister of Defense of the UK, is stepping down, and some guy named Grant Shapps is going to take his place. And Ukraine's defense minister is reportedly going to be stepping down, Alexei Reznikov, and he's going to likely become the ambassador to Britain. And I want to just share this video coming out of Latvia. we have video footage here of Latvian border guards actually walking onto the Belarusian side of the border. And apparently, this white line that you see here, this white line represents the border, and these Latvian border guards just walked over it into Belarusian territory. Okay, so there's definitely a lot of tension between the Baltic countries and Belarus, and also between Poland and Belarus. Okay, this is pretty significant for these border guards to just walk right over the Belarusian side of the border, right in front of a camera, which they knew was there, obviously. We also have breaking news coming out of Japan. Japan is saying that Russia has started withdrawing their S-300 air defense systems from the Kuril Islands, and they're speculating that the reason why is that they need them in Western Russia because they're afraid that Ukraine is going to send more drones over. So that's pretty interesting. And I want to just show you on the map here what I was talking about with that pocket. So this is the occupied territory that Russia has seized from Ukraine. And so this is that part of the occupied territory that Ukraine wants to split in half. They want to cut this land bridge in half, okay? And so they made a pocket over here, sort of like the Battle of the Bulge, all right? They made a little pocket here. You see the blue? And they've expanded it in the last 24 hours. This is Robotine, this little town here. And according to the Ukrainian Deputy Minister of Defense, they're already making progress on Novo Prokopivka, okay, and also in Verbove. Let me show you guys what it looked like yesterday. You can see yesterday a little bit over here changed. And then if we go back 2 days ago, there's also a little bit of a change. You see that? So this was the 28th. Here's the 29th. And then here's the 30th. And they haven't updated for today. But Ukraine is definitely advancing. And they're not too far away from Tokmak. If they can get to Tokmak, that's huge, okay? Because then they can go right to Melitopol. From Melitopol, it's not far to Crimea. They could set up their HIMARS here and start lobbing missiles into Crimea. And then they can go into Crimea and take back Crimea. So it looks like the counteroffensive is actually starting now. We'll have to wait and see how successful it is and how far they're going to push. But they've already reached the second line of defense, and it is a little bit of a slow go in this area because there's a lot of landmines. But it looks like they're moving through pretty quickly. And in my opinion, I think once they breach this second line of defense here, which is represented by these red diamonds, the third, fourth, and fifth lines of defense are not going to be as strong. Okay, usually your first two lines of defense are the most heavily fortified, and then the third, fourth, fifth are going to be less, you know. But we'll have to wait and see. We also have some breaking news coming from Vladimir Zelensky, the president of Ukraine. He said that Ukraine needs about 160 F-16s to prevent Russia from dominating the skies. So he's asking for 160 F-16s. And we also have some breaking news that as many as 500,000 people are without power in Florida, Georgia, and South Carolina. Very sad situation. Please keep the people of those states in your prayers because they've been impacted by a huge hurricane, a massive hurricane. And we also have some breaking news that apparently some of those Russian partisans helped Ukraine carry out that big drone strike 2 days ago. So one of the Russian partisan groups, I can't say their name on here, okay, but one of the Russian partisan groups, they said that they basically helped Ukraine carry out this attack. I'll read to you exactly what they said. So they said, "We are pleased to inform you about another successful attack carried out jointly with the SBU military counterintelligence in the Kursk region, passing again without consequences through the leaky border on the night of August 27. We hit a military facility with drones an airport with Putin's vultures. We are talking about fighter planes. All targets have been destroyed. We emphasized legitimate targets that brought sadness and death to peaceful Ukrainian cities. The elements of the air defense that protected the executioner's planes were also damaged. So they're saying they damaged the Russian air defense. The defense of the country has been reduced to such a pitiful and dangerous condition. So that's pretty much it, guys. That's the latest information that I have. I want to just quickly mention that cases of you know what are on the rise. Okay, in the last 2 weeks, cases went up like 20%. That's pretty much it for this one, guys. I'll keep you updated. Things are really escalating. There's been a lot of emergency action messages the last few days. And again, another Doomsday plane in the air today, a nuke sniffer plane, a B-52. So that's pretty much it for this one, guys. Take care, God bless, and don't forget the 3 Ps. Prepare, practice, and persevere.